Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Runjay Patel. Guys, in this video I'm going to talk about Service Graph Connector. We will see that how Service Graph Connector will help to integrate with third-party tool. It will not help you to integrate with all third-party tool, but as of now, ServiceNow support SCCM, Jamf, SolarWinds, and the VMware. One more tool is there, but that tool is not so popular, so I have not taken that third-party tool in this series. But definitely, if it is required, and if someone wants to do a video on that, then definitely I will make that video in coming future. But for this series, for Service Graph Connector, as of now, SCCM, Jamf, SolarWinds, and VMware Workspace is the scope of this video. Right, so we will see practically that how we can integrate SCCM server or Jamf, SolarWinds, or VMware using a Service Graph Connector. For that, guys, I have ready I have made ready my environment to showcase you that how data is coming from SCCM server. So let me showcase you. So this is my SCCM server. So here all the data, as you can see here, it is there. It's logged off. So let me log in again. Fine. So here the computer, so don't worry about how this is maintained, SCCM is maintained. Your part is to only talk about the ServiceNow part. These details, what are the details it is required to integrate with your SCCM or Jamf and Workspace one, it's up to client. You have to ask to the client. We will see what are the prerequisites to integrate with the any third party tool over here. Right, for this video series I will showcase you how this data will come into our CMDB table. Right, so we will check that one. Fine, so let's move on, guys. So here the thing, so we will see what are the things which we are going to cover in this Service Graph Connector series. So we will talk about the third party tool like SCCM, Jamf, SolarWinds, and VMware Workspace one. Okay, so this is the I can say the popular one which I have taken the example for this video series. Now the second, we'll talk about the service graph overview. That means how and when a service graph connector will help, and what kind of data we can bring from those third party tool. Right, and then we will talk about the prerequisite, what prerequisite we have to follow before starting our any integration with any of the third party tool. Right, and what are the supported version of ServiceNow as of now support. This video I'm making it in the Quebec release guide. So as of now Quebec release, what are the supported version ServiceNow support for from this third party tool. We'll see that as well. So data import process flow, that means how data will flow back to ServiceNow table and what are the connection we have to establish. We will see that as well. Most important one, that means the what are the exact plugin we have to enable for these third party tool. Right, and the seventh point which we'll cover in this video series, that live or service graph connector configuration for SCCM, Jamf, SolarWinds, and the VMware Workspace. So I'm not going to cover the practical scenario for all these three. I have made it ready environment only for SCCM. I'm not a SCCM developer, but somehow I have made the environment ready to showcase you that how actually data will flow back to ServiceNow. Right, so but for Jamf, SolarWinds, and the VMware, the way I will showcase you for the SCCM, same way it will work for others three third party tool as well. Right, right, guys. So before starting this video, guys, so it's a request that if you have not liked and subscribed my channel, it's a request, it's a humble request, please do so. It will help me to, or in it will help me or encourage me to make more video on the different topic. And you know that if you have any doubt while watching my video, you can reach out to me on the Telegram channel, right? So ServiceNow help desk is the name of the Telegram channel. Over there, just connect and you can ask your doubt over there. There are many ServiceNow developer, they have already joined. If I'm not able to give you the answer on the time, there are many SMEs and developer are there in the group who will help you with your questions, right? Fine. So now let's move on. So first we will talk about the overview of service graph. So service graph connector, we can integrate a many third-party tool to bring a data into ServiceNow CMDB table. So whenever you are working on the CMDB, so this is I can say one source of data. These are the tool over there, like they are storing a data, CMDB data. So discovery is the one of them, like they will bring a data from the using a discovery. So this is the one source, but if they have a stored data in the, let's say, in the SCCM server, and clients wants to bring those data from SCCM server to ServiceNow, then if you are working on the Quebec release, then definitely you have to go with the service graph connector integration, right? So I have listed down the what are the third-party tool which we will cover under the service graph connector, that is the SCCM server. I have written down the full name as well: System Center Configuration Manager. And Jamf, it basically just Apple management framework. So over there in Jamf tool, they have maintained only the Apple related assets basically. SolarWinds, you most of the guys, you already are aware about the SolarWinds. This is a very popular tool. And VMware, of course, you will already know about this, right? So these are the tool. From there they can store the data. So from these tools we can bring data into a ServiceNow. So service graph connector will help you to connect and communicate with these tools, third-party tools, right? Now let's move on to next topic, that is the prerequisite. So I have listed down a prerequisite for each and every types of third-party tool. So for SCCM, what are the things which you have to make ready before starting your implementation? So for SCCM, first of all, you required these are, and guys, these are the information you will be getting from your client. You no need to worry about this. Just to showcase in video, I have made this ready for you. Okay, otherwise you don't need to worry about it. Fine. So first thing, that is the database. So server, in my case I'm using a SCCM dot snsd. It's a short form for ServiceNow helpdesk.com. I have made it, and this is the database name. I have made it cm underscore ind, and instance which I have installed, that is the SCCM, and database user ID for I'm using integrated authentication. On this case, integrated authentication, it means, that means the Windows credential which I'm using, the same Windows credentials I'll be using for the login and password as well, right? So this is the integrated one. If your client, definitely once you start implementing with your client, then they will not do this way. So they will provide you the username and password for your database, right? So database server, database name, instance, or database user ID, and the database user password you required. Of course, the last thing that you have to maintain, that is the mid server. Mid server, you have to install it so that a SCCM server should be accessible from the mid server. Let's say your client is asking to install a mid server on X machine, but SCCM server is installed on Y machine. But on that case, it is feasible only if from X to Y is accessible. If they have no connectivity internal, then on that case it won't work. So you have to install your mid server on the SCCM server on that case. Fine. So this is the prerequisite for integrating SCCM server. Let's move on to the next one, that is the Jamf. So because I'm taking this way guys, because all these third party tool work the same way. Okay, so let me check what are the prerequisite for the Jamf. So I have noted down this Jamf host name is required, user ID and the import user. So basically a host name, Jamf over there it will get hosted, so that host name is required, and one user ID and one import users. So using that import user I have written that means basically we are requiring for the user who will responsible for importing a data. Basically it's a service account, I can say. Okay, so for SolarWinds same way, host name, user ID and the import users. Okay, and for VMware Workspace it's required a host name over here, client ID and secret ID. Basically VMware work a little bit a different way for the authentication. So all these are the, I can say, the basic authentication we can perform, but for yeah, so let me tell you something over here. For SCCM we will be using a JDBC integration, but for Jamf and the SolarWinds we will be using a basic authentication, and for VMware we will be using a authentication. So definitely you have to make a registry in the application registry, and for that you have to ask from your client that host name, client ID, secret ID and token URL, and definitely one users. So these are the prerequisite that which we require before starting the our implementation if you are working on any of these. Fine. Now next let's talk about the next topic, that is the supported version. So supported version for SCCM, we have a Microsoft SCCM. From this is basically a Microsoft version, SCCM version. So from 1902, from this version SCCM will support, and the latest version as of now it is 2103. Fine, and the supported ServiceNow version is starting from the Orlando patch 7. So this SCCM or Service Graph Connector started supporting from Orlando patch 7. For Jamf we have this is the Jamf version guys. So version 2.1 it starts supporting, and the latest version for Jamf Pro is the 10.28. Fine, and this Jamf one service now starts supporting from the same Orlando patch 7. For SolarWinds SolarWind version, and they have mentioned this one 2019.4 HF or 2020.2.2.1, right? And the supported version is same. This is also started from the Orlando patch 7. Fine, and so for VMware Workspace 1, that version is supported version V2 and the 2008, right? And from the ServiceNow and it has started supporting from the Paris patch 1, right? So all three these started from the Orlando patch 1, patch 7, but VMware Workspace 1 it has started supporting from the Paris release, right guys? Hope this is the basic overview I have given before starting implementation of SCCM. In the next video we will see how how data will come to CMDB tables in ServiceNow, what are the process and how we can establish the connection. Basically we will see the workflow for each and every one, right? So we will see you in the next video. Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Runjay Patel. Guys, this video is the continuous of previous video. In previous video I have talked about prerequisite for each and every third party tool like SCCM, Jamf, SolarWinds and VMware Workspace 1, right? So if you have not watched, then it's recommended or mandatory that you have to watch that first, then only you will be getting the concept about the service graph connector in this video, right? So in this video I'll be talking about data import process for all the third party tool which we have targeted to cover in this video series, right? But before starting, guys, it's a humble request, if you have not yet watched, if you have not yet to like and subscribe my channel, please do so. It will motivate me to make more video on the different topics. Thank you. It's a humble request. So let's start now, guys. So for SCCM, so first we have taken the SCCM. So we will I will explain you how data will flow back to our CMDB tables, right? So here is the one, guys. So the SCCM, Microsoft SCCM, this is our basically a server. So this is a server, Microsoft SCCM server. From there all the CI or asset has been stored, and our target is to bring those CI or assets in our service now CMDB respective tables, right? So and here is the SQL or database basically which is connected with the SCCM server, right? So this database is basically connected with the SCCM server. So here what kind of devices SCCM server maintain? They will maintain the computer, identity, operating system, processor, disk, network, software, and removed software. All this information SCCM server store. So if your client has maintained these types of CI in their SCCM server, then definitely your client wants to bring those data into a CM to maintain a healthy CMDB, right? So that's our goal to achieve for the integrating using a SCCM server via the service graph connector, right? So how the connection established over here? The connection established mechanism is the JDBC connection over here. So here I have listed down the SCCM server and ServiceNow. In between we will be establishing a JDBC connection. How, we will see with the practical example, so don't worry. So here just I'm talking about the flow. Once we will set up our JDBC connection, to set up the JDBC, what are the prerequisite data is required, I have already explained in the previous video, right? And from here it will start our ServiceNow part, right? So these are the ServiceNow part basically. So how this connection it will establish? So first we have to install the Meet server, as I explained in the previous video that we have to install the Meet server. From there SCCM server has to be accessible, right? It should be it's a recommended approach that yeah, if it is feasible and your client is allowing to install the Meet server on the SCCM server itself, then there you can install it. If not, then you can also install on the different machine, but from that different machine SCCM server has to be accessible, right? So once you'll install the Meet server, and if you want to see how you can install the Meet server, I have already made a separate video. I will give a link on this video in the description section so that you can go and directly watch. Now, so I'm assuming you know how to install the Meet server. So once you install the Meet server, here data import schedule. Once data import schedule, basically it's a data source that you have to maintain. That means how frequent you want to bring a data from SCCM server. So that it's talk about the data import schedule over here. So basically here the in this section ServiceNow staging table, it will bring a data like in the import set or table, it will bring a data and it will hold it, and using a robust transform it will transfer to the respective table, right? So it's, if it is a processor or if it is a computer identity, it will transfer to the exact table. The way it works for the discovery, if from the discovery if it is coming different types of CI, discovery will distribute CI to the respective table, right? So same way here also ServiceNow distribute data into a respective table. If it is a operating system, then it will go to the operating system table. If it is a network devices, then it will go to the network table. We'll see that how that all this it will establish. Fine, hope you are okay with this. Now let's move on to the next tool. So don't worry guys, so this setup we will see with the practical scenario. right? So we will showcase you the live example because I have already done a setup for the SCCM server, right? Let's move on the next one. So this is for Jamf tool. So how, let's say we have installed the Jamf server over here. So this first part is a Jamf server over there. Anyway, we are not worry about the Jamf server, how they will install. You just need to check what are the prerequisite details you require to integrate with the Jamf server, right? Now let's say here Jamf is already installed and we have set up our authentication. I just said in my previous video that we will be doing a basic authentication for Jamf server, right? Now here the same way it will come to the data source. So for the Jamf data source, this is the predefined sg Jamf, sg dash Jamf is the data main data source. From there it will come. Basically this is a staging table over here, fine. And once the data will come in the staging table, using a robust transform, it will transfer the data into our CMDB respective table. Definitely in between there is a IRE, identification and reconciliation engine will work to identify which data will go on which table, right? So for example, if a computer data is coming, then it will go to the CMDB underscore C underscore computer table. Likewise it will support a many table. So if it depends means what types of data Jamf is storing, right? They have stored, our client has maintained. Fine, so let's move on the next one. So this is SolarWinds is also kind of a similar flow diagram as per the same as a Jamf tool. So same way SolarWinds, let's say here SolarWinds is installed, we will be setting up the basic authentication and data source. The primary data source is SG SolarWinds, and then robust transform will work, and using a IRE validation and data will transfer to the respective tables. Fine. Little bit a difference which we have, that is the VMware Workspace one, that let's say here we have installed the VMware Workspace one UEM, and the integration and authentication we will be doing over here, that is a system authentication. So for that we need a client ID, secret ID, and all the details I have already talked about in my previous video, right? So prerequisite video is very important one for you guys, that what are the exact data you required from your client. So rest everything is okay as for the previous one, for like a SolarWinds and Jamf one. So it will come to the SG workspace data source, and using a robust transform it will transfer the data into a respective table. So robust transform a little bit work a different way, like we have a actual transform map, right? So if you want to make a video on the robust transform map, then definitely I will make a video, but it will almost work like a transform map. If you have already imported any data into a ServiceNow and you know that how data source and transform map script will work, then there will be no challenge to understand a robust transform map for you as well. Fine. Next thing is the plugin which we have highlighted over here. So for SCCM, this is the plugin name. Let me showcase you. I'm just copying it. I'm just going to the application over here, and this is the plugin. You just need to type over here plugins, right? And in the search, just check it over here, and here you will be having a your service graph connector for the Microsoft SCCM, right? I have already installed it, so as of now it is not coming to install, it is coming for the update. If there is any update, then as you can see here, I have installed the 2.4.2, but the latest version as of now is 2.5. So you just you can update it also. And for others, let me show you directly. So what I will be doing, I will be just writing a service graph over here, and we will see. And for Jamf we will see. So this is for the Jamf service graph connector for Jamf, and service graph connector for SCCM. Already we have seen we have a service graph connector for SolarWinds. I have already installed it, and service graph connector for the VMware Workspace one, right? So these are the plugin. If you are talking about the VMware Workspace one, then you just need to install only this one. No need to install others two, right? Two or three. So don't get confused, guys. So if you are I'm just making a video because all are kind of similar. That's why I'm making it in one direction, right? So for if you are working for SCCM integration, you just need to enable only this plugin, right? No need to enable the rest one. So whatever tool you are working on, and then on that plugin only you have to enable it. Fine, guys. So in next video I'll be talking about how we can set up our accounts for SCCM, same way for others like Jamf. So I will be talking in details in the upcoming video. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Runjay Patel. Guys, this is the third video of Service Graph Connector series. In first two video I have covered that what are the tool which we are going to cover in this series, and I have talked about little bit overview on Service Graph Connector. Also talked about prerequisite, supported version, data import process flow, and plugins, right? So as of now in last two video I have covered these many topics, right? So if you have not watched and you are watching directly to third video, it's recommended to go and watch that first two, right? And if you have not like and subscribe my channel, please do so. And if you have any doubt, technical doubt and road blockers, please join my telegram channel name called ServiceNow help desk. Over there I'll be ready to help you. Fine. So in this video I'll be talking about the live service graph connector configuration for SCCM, Jamf, SolarWinds and the VMware Workspace one, right? So we will see how we can configure the setting for the SCCM and others tool, right? So let me jump there directly. So yeah, so from here it will start. So first a step that which we have to perform, that we have to install the Meet server, right? And for Meet server installation I have already made a separate video while making a discovery series, so please go and watch that Meet server installation video if you don't know how to install the Meet server first. Now the second step that we have to perform, that the configure the connection. So how we have to do this? Let's jump to the our SCCM not SCCM, to our ServiceNow instance, right? So let me go there directly. So here in the left navigation, so first thing guys, what you have to do, first you have to select the application. So this is the application over here. By default it is selected as global, and the moment you will enable the plugin, that service graph application will be enabled for you. So I'm just looking for service graph connector. So here is the one. So as you can see here, I have enabled service graph connector for Jamf, SCCM, SolarWinds and the VMware Workspace one. So right now we are working on the Microsoft SCCM one, right? So I'm just going to select this application. Fine. If you want to make a update set, all this thing to capture the configuration, you just make it. And here in the left navigation, just type SCCM. So the moment you will type SCCM, as you can see here, service graph connector, Microsoft SCCM, it came over here, right? The first thing, the second thing which you have to do, that you have to perform the setup over here, right? And what is the first thing, that you have to install the Meet server. So I'm assuming that you have already installed the Meet server, and in my case I have already installed my Meet server. So let me showcase you over here. So this is my SCCM server. So let me log in it again. SCCM server. Fine. So let me showcase you. This is my SCCM server machine, and here somewhere I have installed my Meet server over here, right? As you can see here, it is already running, and it is already running and up in ServiceNow. So let me showcase you over here. So what I will do, I will type a Meet server over here, and just click on the servers. As you can see here, this is already installed and up and running, right? So yes, the second thing now we have to do that SCCM, type SCCM in the left navigation and start doing a setup. So I'm just going to click on the setup over here. Fine. So once you'll click on this setup, this screen will appear over here. Okay, this screen will come up over here. It will ask you to select your Meet server, username, password, instance name, which I have already talked about the prerequisite. So all the prerequisite which we have to perform. So let's get started over here. And here for the configuration, configure the connection, we have to perform the three tasks. The first one is the configure SCCM JDBC connection, then validate a data source, and then reset the last run date and time. Basically this like when you want to run it, so that it will run on exact timing, right? So same way I have already written over here that so second step, that configure the connection, and the third step is the validate the data source. We'll see how we can validate the data source, and the last fourth step I have written that say reset the last run date and time, and fifth one step is set up the schedule import job over here. So how we will do so? So only the 5 step which we have to perform. It's a very easy. Once you have this data, it's very easy to connect with the SCCM server. So let's move on over here. So I'm going to click on this first task, configure the SCCM JDBC connection, right? So JDBC connection over here, it is asking here button is there, configure, right? So this button, if it is visible for you, I'm just highlighting with the red over here. So just click on the configure, right? Just over here. So it's a very easy if you have already data collected from your client. So let me showcase you again my prerequisite one for SCCM, that database server name, database name, instance name. These are the details which you have to gather from the your client, right? So same details I'll be using it over here. Fine. So mid server selection, I have installed this mid server, so I have using mid server one, only one mid server I have installed. For my case, the instance name is SCCM. So in parallel I will show you. This is my SCCM server, and this is my SCCM basically. So here all the server is lying. So yeah, so this is a SCCM instance name, and the server which I'm using configured right now, that sccm.servicenowhelpdesk.com over here, and database which I'm using for cm_ind. Okay, and the query timeout I have not given, just leave it for the default, and a database port, or that yeah, you have to very careful about this database port. Basically while installing SQL server, by default MS SQL server, it will take 1433 as a default port. So if your client has installed database server on the different port, then you have to ask them port number as well. If port number is incorrect, then you will be not fetching a data from the tables. So in order to fetch the correct data, this port number has to be validated. Okay, so these are the only details which you have to ask from your client. Once you ready with this, and this one guys, so I'm, as I said, like I'm using a integrated authentication. So basically if you are not using authentic integrated authentication, then definitely you have to ask for the username and password, right? So in my case, like username is SCCM_SCCM admin, and the password which I have given over here, right? So I'm just going with the integrated authentication one. Just click on the save. So once you're done with first step, means this if you have done with this one, then the third step you have to do the validate data source, right? So let's jump to there, and once you will configure this, guys, you just mark it as a complete, so that the next step will be enabled for you, right? So in this validate data source, what it is saying, that we have to basically load a data, like a test load data from our here data source, right? So let me open it. So in this case I'll be opening to do this activity. Either you could just click on the configure button, or you can directly go from here also, data source. So by default it is redirected to the data source. This is the staging table, and from here also you can just go and check. So this will give you the all list of the data source which is applicable for the SCCM server. Let me close this window, and this is the one which is opened right now over here after clicking the configure, right? So from here also you can open it, same here. And this is SCCM. This is basically bring all the computer data from the your server, right? So to validate it, what we have to do, that we have to do a test load. So just click on the test load 20 record, the way we are doing for the data source. I'm not going to save the password, and it will return, as you can see here, by default two row we have got it, two row process, two row inserted into our staging table, means our connection is successful, right? So we are okay with our connection. So if you will load all the data, it will bring all the data from the SCCM server, correct? So these are the all the data source which we have for us, right? And based on this, first it will start the computer identity, then it will rest will execute, right? So here the in the third step we have already validated, we have just checked the whether the JDBC connection is successful or not. So here I can see here, as you can see, connection is success, right? So it has connected with our SCCM server over here. Fine. So now the next step that which we have to perform, we are done with the this, we are checked with the test load 20, right? And same way I have written, guys, this will redirect you. Once you click on the configure, it will redirect to the computer identity or data source. The next step that you have to reset the date and time. This will be, you will be doing for, because you have already run this, right? So date and time has been setted for now, the moment you will run it, right? Last run date and time, so you have to just reset it, okay, so that it will run on the next specific time. Fine. And okay, so the next step which you will be doing, that, and that is the set up a schedule import job over here. So once where you just go, you just navigate to the import set schedule over here. So I have already written down over here, so import set schedule, right? So once you will start doing this, then sorry, I import set schedule, yeah. So this is the one. So import set schedule, you have to check whether the which one is running over here. So for where is our computer identity, so this is the one which we have to choose, because this is the only as you can see here, run as the periodically, and all rest is dependent on each other, right? So I have not checked, that means which data source is dependent on which one, but it is dependent. Basically it is saying once it will run some yeah, so here this data source which will run once this data source will run, right? So all these are dependent, especially this one is not dependent. So this is basically a schedule to run the periodically. So we will see this one. So here is the one, and the rest is already dependent, as you can see here. So once it will start executing this, then it will rest will start executing over here. And it's up to you whether you want to make it active or non-active. If you, let's say, if you don't want to run the disk one, then you just make it inactive. But here right now the thing is, this one is inactive. In order to do that, you just make it active, and here you just provide your repeat interval, means how frequent you want to bring a data, right? So this is the things, guys. So let me just do it over here, and let me not do it directly from here. You just do it. I'm not saying that you cannot do. So what I will do, I will directly run it over here, because we can also run the manual. I have already opened it. Okay, let me close. There are so many windows there. So before that, to have a proof, guys, so what I'm going to do, I'm closing the window which is not required here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to the table cmdb underscore ci dot list. This is our actual table which we have, right? So let me just do it j2a. So right now, as you can see here, 3023 is the total number of CI is there, right? So once we will load it from SCCM server, and let me check in the SCCM server how many data we have. As of now, I have just for demo purpose, I have inserted few data directly into the database over here. So 12 record is there. So we are expecting these all data to be populated, whatever the details which we have captured over here, it will all start reflecting in our CMDB tables, right? So as of now, none of these are there in this. As you can see here, 3023 is there. So let me run it. Okay, this time what I will be doing, I will be not doing a test load, I will be doing a load all record. So we'll see, that means how many record got captured from the SCCM server. Let me do it neighbor. It will take based on the performance and all this stuff. So right now only the 2 is coming, so 2 is processed. So if we will do this, why 2 is coming, it's supposed to come 12. Are we running the correct database, sorry, correct data source? Okay, so because I have run this previously, so let's start running this. So guys, so the second step that we have to do, that is the run robust transform up over here. I'm just clicking it and I'm saying okay, transform it. Fine. So once this is done, yeah, this is now success message. This has given that success message. Let me refresh it. Just remember, guys, it's coming 3023, and how many more it's came? So 2 it's came, right? So here is the 2. I'm using this ID, and this is the 2 record which we have got. One is the computer, and the second one is the software. So this is the Windows 8, and let me just open the record. Yeah, this is the software one, and the laptop one which we have got, only this one. This is serial number, all this stuff. Model ID is this, right? And the installed software we have got it, and the serial number which you have got is this one. Right. So hope you guys understood that how the data will come from the SCCM server over here, right? So yeah, so these are the machines which supposed to come. Okay, so let me run some others data source as well, so that we can have a check. That means how, let me run the disk one. So if I will run the disk over here, let me check, that means whether any disk is available or not. I am hoping 1 or 2 must have there. Yeah, 2 is there. I'm just running it again. This is the disk one which is running. Yeah, it's successful. And now if I will check, then yeah, two got inserted. As you can see here, description is hard disk, and this is from the Lenovo one, right? So this is a way, guys, we can bring a data. So for just for demo purpose, I have inserted only data in the computer and the here in the SCCM disk one. So for others, if your client has maintained data in the respective others table, like they have maintained the operating system, processor, and software AI or software or all this stuff, then you just need to enable the first this one, computer identity data source. Rest will start executing it. Hope you guys understand, and in the next video we will see how we can do for the Jamf and the others third-party tool, right? Thank you guys, thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe my channel. Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Runjay Patel. Guys, in this video we will see how we can do the configuration for Jamf, SolarWinds and VMware Workspace 1, right? In previous video I have showcased with the live, with the practical example, that how we can connect with the SCCM server, right? And how we can bring data from the SCCM server and how it will go to the respective table. Let's have a recap quickly. Okay, so if you have remember that in the last we have bring only two data, so let me rerun the data source and we'll check, because last time which we were running that we were using a use last run date and time, so it was bringing only two records. So I'm not going to use this one, I'm just going to save this so that it will bring a whole data from the SCCM server, right? So just click on the load all record, and as you can see here from SCCM server we have a total 12 record. We'll see now 12 record got inserted over here. If you will do a run and just do the transform over here, right? So it will insert data in our respective table. So just refresh this, and as you can see here now data got inserted. All this thing, Windows 8, 10, Lenovo laptop, Windows 8 something, these are the test data which I have stored over here. As you can see here, same way it is reflecting in our CMDB tables as well, right? So let me open a new one. So by default domain is also coming, ServiceNow help desk, this manufacturer is coming, model, serial number, or CPU count. So whatever the data which we have maintained in your SCCM server, that will come over here. Fine. So we have seen this in the last session, right? So in this video what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about other three tool. That first one is the Jamf, second one is the SolarWinds, and the third one is the VMware Workspace one, right? So let's just start with the Jamf server. So for Jamf server, first thing is which we need to do, that is the configure the connection. So similar way we have to go over here and type Jamf, and the first thing which we have to do, that you have to select the application. If you are working for Jamf, then just select the Jamf connector over here in the application, right? And just type Jamf. So this will be from the your left navigation, and just click on the setup, similar way the way we have done for the SCCM, right? So here you just need to click on the continue, right? And here you have to perform some task over here. So first thing which you have to do, that enable the property, right? So here you just click on the configure, and it will ask you to enable the property over here, right? So by default it is a false, so what you have to do, you have to make it true, right? So let me do it and just update it. Fine. The second step which we have to do, and once you will update the property over here, as you can see here, right now it is by default it will be false, and you have to change it from false to true. Got it. Now the in the 1.2 step that you have to do, configure Jamf authentication credentials basically. So this is for basic auth credentials over here, right? So the second one, where it is now, yeah. So once you will do this, you just click on the mark as complete. Okay, and now the second one here you have to do that, the configure, and here we have to provide the username and password. And as I said, like in the prerequisite session, that means you have to this is just a name. One is the simple name. It's up to you what name you are just giving over here. So this is for basic authentication purpose. So username and password we have to get it from your client. So don't worry about this discovery, IP affinity, all these things. So you know the discovery, IP affinity have already explained in the discovery series, right? So only two things which you have to do, that username and password. Fine. Now the next step that we have to do, that configure the HTTP connection. So here Jamf server, they will provide you the HTTP connection, basically HTTP details. So configure Jamf HTTP connection over here. So just click on the configure, and here basically the credentials which you have created in the previous steps, that you have to select this credentials over here. So I have created the credential called Jamf credentials, right? This will be under the domain called global active, and this will by default it will come as a connection alias, and the here is the URL which you have to give. If you are testing it locally, then you just type a localhost. If someone has given you the URL, then just type a URL over here. Fine. So this is the step which you have to do. I don't have a setup for Jamf, so I don't know the URL. So definitely you from your client, they will provide you the HTTP connection details, all those. Fine. Now the next step, that you have to perform the test connection over here, that in the again the way we have done it for the SCCM server, same way we have to perform. Once we done with all those activity, then just click on this Jamf computer. As of now only 3 data sources there for Jamf, and we have to perform the load 20 record. If load 20 record got successful, then we are done with our test connection. Fine. Similar way, the way we have done it for the SCCM. Now the duplicate detection rule, this is something that means advanced level. You just do it in order to reduce the processing during the data import. Basically you don't want to go with the full load, right? So if there is no incremental, there is no update or insert happen, then definitely you want to go with the delta import, right? On that case, you have to just go and update the duplicate detection rule over here. So by default Jamf duplicate detection rule has been created for you. Okay, the moment you will enable the plugin, this reduce the volume of row being transformed from only inserting and updating a new data into your staging table. It means basically if you want to load the delta record, basically which delta record, I mean to say basically the record which got updated or newly created one, only you want to import those data, then just enable this property over here. Fine. And on that case, one more feasibility it is there, that by default duplicate detection rule is inactive. You need to activate it. You can remove the field from being evaluated, add the field name and the comma separated, right? So these are the field like comma separated field, you can add it, and in order to evaluation means, like I can say it will evaluate based on the field which you have marked in the field. Yeah. Okay, and if you want to ignore those field, then you have to mention those field in the ignore field sections using a comma separated. Okay, let me showcase you. So once again I have to go back to setup, right, and the duplicate detection I'm talking about this one. So here this is not enabled as of now because we have not completed the sorry, above a step, like these steps I have not completed, right, because I don't have the setup. So fine, and the next one is you have to do the schedule import. So again similar way that you have to enable the this. By default it is disabled, so you have to enable this schedule so that it will start importing a data on the frequent time. Fine, so this is the setup which we have to do. I have already explained this about this. Now this is all about the Jamf. It's a very easy way to integrate with service graph connector, right? And now let's move on to the next one using a SolarWind, like a solar, how we can do the similar kind of a step we will be performing. So for SolarWind also we have to first do that enable the plugin, and once you enable the plugin, here you have to select the SolarWind application and just type a SolarWind over here. The moment you type a SolarWind, similar way it will be giving ServiceNow, it will give you the this module to do the setup. And here first thing you have to do that the verify the version basically. Okay, so I have already listed down this step. This is a very simple step I can say. So version you have to verify it, like you have to click on the agree and just confirm it. Okay, so that is the first step you have to do. It's a very easy, guys. And the second step that again you have to set up the basic authentication credentials. So similar way I have given it for SolarWind, and the user and password. And the third step that you have to configure the HTTP connection. So the way we have done it for the Jamf, it is similar way it is working for the SolarWind as well, right? And now the in the next step that SolarWind modules over here, properties by default, let me check. So configure a SolarWind modules. So here once you type a SolarWind module over here, it will give you these are the modules, right? And by default these are the false it would be there, but in order to do so you just make it active. Fine, so next one is the test the connection. Similar way, just open the your data source over here and run do the test load for 20 record. Fine, so yeah, this is all done because this is kind of if you are seeing this video, that means you are already seen the SCCM one. So is in the SCCM one I have given you the live scenario. For this one I don't have the setup ready, but the way it's work very similar way the way it work for the SCCM one. So same way for VMware also. So first we have to establish the connection. This VMware having a little bit a different way to communicate with the tool. So let's say first thing which we have to do, again same way that you have to change your application. I'm changing to the VMware one and just type over here that VMware. So the moment you will type the VMware over here, so VMware Workspace will come over here. You have to do the setup, right? So once you will click on the setup and just click on the get started, and you have to perform the credentials over here. The credentials over here basically it's a basic auth credentials. Okay, so for basic auth credentials you require the client ID and the secret ID. So these all details you will be getting from your client basically. right? So what is the token URL? So I have already explained all this in my very first video. That means what are the details you required. So client ID, secret ID, and the token URL is the important one, which will required in order to perform the integrations, right? And now as you can see here, so here the key things that I have written down: the client ID, secret ID, and the token URL. Once you're done with that, update the host in the workspace, VMware workspace one. Again, the next step that we have to set up the HTTP connection. If you are working locally, and then you just type the local over here, or otherwise just type the domain name. Validation of the data source, again you have to go and just open the data source. So only one data source is there, just open it and do the test load 20. If it is success message, if it's giving you, that means your connection has been successfully validated, right? So this is all, guys, about the service graph connector. If you have any doubt and question, please reach out to the ServiceNow group, not ServiceNow group, our Telegram group, ServiceNow help desk. Over there I will clarify your doubt. Thank you, guys, thanks for watching. And if you want me to make a video on any specific topics, please do let me know so that I can prepare for those topics. Thank you, thanks for watching.